The 10 most dangerous cults in history. This is not just a list of horrors. It is a call to awareness. A journey through the top 10 most dangerous cults in history, not to glorify evil, but to open our eyes, and to remind us, freedom of thought is a treasure, and blind devotion can cost you everything. Number 10. The movement for the restoration of the 10 Commandments of God, Uganda. Death toll. Over 700. Founded in Uganda in the 1980s, this cult claimed the world would end on January 1, 2000. When the apocalypse didn't come, the leaders told their followers to prepare better. That preparation ended with one of the deadliest mass murders in African history. Over 700 people were killed, some poisoned, others locked in a church that was set on fire. What started as a message of repentance turned into mass deception. But their story reminds us, any voice that silences reason in the name of religion must be questioned. Number 9. Order of the Solar Temple, Canada/France/Switzerland. Death toll. 74. Mixing Christianity, New Age beliefs, and secret rituals, this group claimed they were preparing for life on a star called Sirius. When investigations closed in on their financial fraud and abuse, members began ascending to Sirius through orchestrated suicides. Many didn't choose it, some were drugged and killed. The order taught the world a lesson in how elitism and secrecy can mask spiritual manipulation. Their end was tragic. But their exposure warned governments to monitor cultic behavior masquerading as faith. Number 8. Children of God, the Family International, worldwide. Abuse count, thousands. Started by David Berg in the late 1960s, this group spread a distorted version of Christianity filled with sexual immorality, child abuse, and flirty fishing. Women were used as tools of seduction to convert men. Underneath the hippie-era peace was trauma, exploitation, and psychological warfare. Many survivors still bear the scars. But their testimonies became fire. Documentaries, interviews, and books emerged. Survivors chose to speak up. They turned pain into power and exposed how twisted theology can ruin lives. Number 7. NXIVM, United States. Convictions, multiple, including sex trafficking and racketeering. Disguised as a self-help group for entrepreneurs, NXIVM quickly devolved into a cult of control. Women were branded, blackmailed, and forced into servitude under the pretense of empowerment. At the center was Keith Raniere, revered as a genius, exposed as a manipulator. The scandal shocked Hollywood, as even celebrities were entangled in its web. But NXIVM's fall was also a victory. It showed that no matter how sophisticated or subtle a cult appears, truth always finds a way to rise. Number 6. Aum Shinrikyo, Japan. Death toll, 29 plus. Thousands injured. Founded by Shoko Asahara, this doomsday cult believed the end was near and they were destined to survive it. Their proof of purpose? In 1995. They released sarin gas in Tokyo's subway system, killing 13 and injuring thousands. They had been secretly stockpiling chemical weapons and plotting mass destruction. The world realized that fanaticism, mixed with science and unchecked ego, is a cocktail of chaos. Japan overhauled its laws and security systems. From the blood in the subways, a nation stood up and said, never again. Number 5. The People's Temple, United States/Guyana. Death toll, 918, including over 300 children. Led by the chillingly charismatic Jim Jones, the People's Temple started as a progressive Christian movement. But it ended in Jonestown, Guyana, with mass suicide and murder. Jones convinced his followers to drink cyanide-laced Flavor Aid in an event now remembered as one of the largest single losses of American civilian life in a non-natural disaster. The image of bodies strewn across the compound still haunts the world. But their story also sparked new laws around religious oversight, cult monitoring, and public awareness. Number 4. Heaven's Gate, United States. Death toll, 39. In 1997, under Hale-Bopp comet's glare, 39 people dressed in identical outfits, with matching Nikes and purple cloths, took their lives believing they were shedding their earthly bodies to board a spaceship trailing the comet. Their leader, Marshall Applewhite, had convinced them that Earth was about to be recycled. Their deaths were silent but shook the globe. It made psychologists, educators, and spiritual leaders ask, how does belief become bondage? From that question, new frameworks of education and mental health began to rise. Number 3. Rajneeshpuram, Osho movement, United States/India. Crimes, bioterrorism, wiretapping, mass manipulation. Osho, also known as Bhagwan Sri Rajneesh, led a cult that turned an Oregon desert into a utopia turned nightmare. Thousands followed his teachings of free love and spiritual awakening. But behind the curtains were arms stockpiles, political schemes, and the first bioterror attack in US history, hundreds sickened by salmonella. His personal secretary, Ma Anand Sheela, became the face of chaos. Yet Osho's movement still has millions of followers today. Why? Because cults don't always end in fire. Some rebrand, repackage, and keep going. But the past cannot be forgotten. Number 2. Branch Davidians, United States. Death Toll, 82. Led by David Koresh, this offshoot of Seventh-day Adventists stockpiled weapons in preparation for an apocalyptic war. In 1993, after a 51-day standoff with the FBI in Waco, Texas, a fire consumed the compound. What followed was one of the most controversial events in American law enforcement history. Did the government go too far? Or was Koresh orchestrating a fiery martyrdom? Either way, the message is clear: unchecked power on either side ends in destruction. Number 1. Nazi Germany under Adolf Hitler. Death toll, over 17 million murdered in the Holocaust. Yes, it was a political movement. But at its core, it was a cult of personality, messianic belief, and brainwashing on a global scale. Hitler wasn't just a dictator, he was worshipped. Children were indoctrinated, books were burned, and opposition was silenced. Under his cult of hate, millions, Jews, Roma, disabled, dissenters, were exterminated. The world watched, paralyzed at first. But eventually, the spell broke. Nazi Germany fell, but not before leaving the deepest scar humanity has ever known. And from that scar, the world said, never again. Cults don't start with madness. They start with charm. With a promise. With something we all crave: belonging, healing, meaning. But when any belief demands the death of your will, your mind, your questions, it's no longer faith, it's bondage. From Uganda to Tokyo, from Oregon to Germany, these 10 cults show us what happens when power is unchecked, when truth is silenced, and when men play gods. But their darkness has not won. Survivors have spoken. Nations have learned. And truth still rises, like light through smoke. Let this list be a reminder: your freedom to think, to question, to choose, is sacred. Guard it. And never give it away in the name of faith that demands your silence. If you are not following me, you may not see me again. Like and follow this page for more amazing contents like this.